Oh, hello, great readers. I'm Belchan.
I'm Mikung.
I'm Van Chan.
In this class, I'll read to all of you a part of Great Expectations.
S.
L.
Great Expectations. Charles Dickens. Chapter 36. Herbert and I went on from bad to worse, in the way of increasing our debts, looking into our affairs, leaving margins, and the like exemplary transactions. And time went on, whether or no, as he has a way of doing, and I came of age in fulfillment of Herbert's prediction, that I should do so before I knew where I was. Herbert himself had come of age 8 months before me, as he had nothing else than his majority to come into. The event did not make a profound sensation in Barnard's Inn, but we had looked forward to my 120th birthday, with a crowd of speculations and anticipations. That occasion was on the day before it. I received an official note from Womack, informing me that Mr. of the auspicious day. This convinced us that something great was to happen, and threw me into an unusual flutter when I repaired to my guardian's office, a model of punctuality. In the outer office, Womack offered me his congratulations. I liked the look of, but he said nothing respecting it, and motioned me with a nod into my guardian's room. It was November, and my guardian was standing before his fire, leaning his back against the chimney-piece, with his hands under his coattails. "Well," it said he, "I must call you Mr. Pip today. Congratulations, Mr." We shook hands. Was always a remarkably short shaker, and I thanked him. "Take a chair, Mr. Pip," said my guardian, as I sat down, and he preserved his attitude and bent his brows at his boots. I felt at a disadvantage, which reminded me of that old time when I had been put upon a tombstone. The two ghastly casts on the shelf were not far from him. To the conversation. "Now, my young friend," my guardian began, as if I were a witness in the box, "if you please." "What do you suppose?" said Mr. Cheddar's, bending forward to look at the ground. "At the rate of..." repeated Mr. Cheddar's, still looking at the ceiling. Said Jeff, and then looked all around the room, and paused with his pocket handkerchief in his hand, halfway to his nose. I had looked into my affairs so often. Veins. Reluctantly, I confessed myself quite unable to answer the question. This reply seemed agreeable to Mr. Cheddar's, who said, "I thought so," and blew his nose with an air of satisfaction. "Anne, I have asked you a question." "My friend," said Mr. Cheddar's, "of course it would be a great relief to me to ask you several questions." "Ask one," said Mr. Cheddar's. "Oh, we've that." "A moment," said Mr. Cheddar's. I looked about me, but there appeared to be now no possible escape from the inquiry. "Have I anything to receive, sir, on that?" Wister, Jacob said triumphantly. Piece of paper. We'll make a beard. And did it in. And disappeared. And Wister. It said Mr. Jaggers. I didn't. If you please. You have been drawing pretty freely here. Your neckers pretty often in Wemmick's cash book. But you are in debt. I am afraid I must say yes. You know you must say yes. Don't you? Said Mr. Jaggers. Yes. I don't ask you what you owe. Because you don't know. And if you did know, you wouldn't tell me. You would say less. S. S. My friend, cried Mr. Jaggers, waving his forefinger to stop me as I made a show of protesting. It's likely enough that you think you wouldn't. You would. You'll excuse me, but I know better than you. Anne, take this piece of paper in your hand. You have got it. Very good. Anne, this is a banknote, said I. That is a banknote, repeated Mr. Jaggers. For £500. And a very handsome sum of money too, I think. Ah. But answer the question, said Mr. Jaggers. You consider it. Undoubtedly. A handsome sum of money. And that handsome sum of money is your own. It is a present to you on this day, in earnest of your expectations, and hath the rate of that handsome sum of money per annum, and at no higher rate. You are to live until the donor of the hall appears. That is to say, you will now take your money affairs entirely into your own hands, and you will draw from Wemmick £125 per quarter, until you are in communication with the fountainhead, and no longer with the mere agent. As I have told you before, I am the mere agent. I execute my instructions, and I am paid for doing so. I think them injudicious, which I was treated when Mr. Jaggers stopped me. I am not paid. It, said he, coolly, to carry your words to anyone and then gathered up his coat-tails, as he had gathered up the subject, and stood frowning at his boots as if he suspected them of designs against him. After a pause, I hinted. There was a question just now. Mr. Jaggers, which she desired me to wait for a moment. What is it? Said he. I might have known that he would never help me out, but it took me aback to have to shape the question afresh, as if it were quite new. Is it likely? I said, after hesitating, that my patron, the fountainhead you have spoken of, Mr. Jaggers, was sitting there? I delicately stopped. Was him what? Asked Mr. Jaggers. That's no question as it stands. Will soon come to London, said I, after casting about for a precise form of words. And here, replied Mr. Jaggers, fixing me for the first time with his dark, deep-set eyes. We must revert to the evening when we first encountered one another in your village. What did I tell you then? You told me, Mr. Chivers. Just so, said Mr. Chivers, as we looked full at one another. And as I felt that, it came quicker. And as I felt that, he saw that, it came quicker. I felt that I had less chance than ever of getting anything out of him. Do you suppose it will still be years hence? Mr. Sugar shook his head a knot in negativing the question. The two horrible casts of the touched faces looked, when my eyes strayed up to them, as if they had come to a crisis in their suspended attention, and were going to sneeze. Constant Mr. Chivers, warming the backs of his legs with the backs of his warmed hands. I'll be playing with you, my friend Pip. That's a question I must not be asked. You'll understand that better when I tell you it's a question that might compromise me. Come, I'll go a little further with you. He bent down so low to frown at his boots. Nate, when that person discloses, said Mr. Chivers, straightening himself, you and that person will settle your own affairs. When that person discloses, my part in this business will cease and determine. When that person discloses, it will not be necessary for me to know anything about it. We looked at one another until I withdrew my eyes and looked thoughtfully at the floor. From this last speech I derived the notion that Miss Evesham, for some reason or no reason, had not taken him into her confidence as to her designing me for Estilo. That he resented this, and felt a jealousy about it, or that he really did object to that scheme, and would have nothing to do with it. When I raised my eyes again, I found that he had been shrewdly looking at me all the time, and was doing so still. If that is all you have to say, sir, I remarked. He nodded assent, and pulled out his thief-dreaded watch, and asked me where I was going to dine. I replied at my own chambers, with Herbert, as a necessary sequence. I asked him if he would favour us with his company, and he promptly accepted the invitation. But he insisted on walking home with me, in order that I might make no extra preparation for him. And first he had a letter or two to write, and of course had his hands to wash. So I said I would go into the outer office and talk to Mick. The fact was that when the £500 had come into my pocket, a thought had come into my head which had been often there before. Such thought: he had already locked up his safe, and made preparations for going home. He had left his desk on a slab near the door, ready to be extinguished. He had raked his fire low, put his hat and great coat ready, and was beating himself all over the chest with a safe key, as an athletic exercise after business. Wistu, Wormick said I want to ask your opinion. Wormick tied in his post office and shook his head, as if his opinion were dead against any fatal weakness of that sort. This friend, I pursued, is trying to get on in commercial life, but has no money. and finds it difficult and disheartening to make a beginning. With money, Dan, said Womack, in a tone drier than any sawdust. With some money, Dan, I replied. Some money down. Wistu. It said Womack. I should like just to run over with you on my fingers. If you please. The names of the various bridges up as high as Chelsea reach. Let's see. There's London. 1. Southwark. 2. Blackfriars. 3. Waterloo. 4. Westminster. 5. Vauxhall. This. He had checked off each bridge in its turn, with the handle of his safe key on the palm of his hand. There's as many as 6. You see. I don't understand you, said I. Choose your bridge. Wister. Cape, returned Womack. And take a walk up on your bridge. And pitch your money into the Thames over the centre arch of your bridge. And you know the end of it. Serve a friend with it. I could have posted a newspaper in his mouth. He made it so white after saying this. This is very discouraging, said I. Meant to be so, said Womack. Then is it your opinion? I inquired, with some little indignation. Invest portable property in a friend, said Womack. Certainly he should not. And that, said I, is your deliberate opinion. Wister. That, he returned. Ah, said I, pressing him, for I thought I saw him near a loophole here. Wistu. That, he replied, with gravity. Walworth is one place, and this office is another, much as the aged is one person. And Wistu. Jaggers is another. They must not be confounded together. My Walworth sentiments must be taken at Walworth. Very well, said I, much relieved. Then I shall look you up at Walworth. Wistu. Pip, he returned. You will be welcome there. We had held this conversation in a low voice, well knowing my guardians to be the sharpest of the sharp. As he now appeared in his doorway, twirling his hands, Womack got on his greatcoat and stood by to snuff out the candles. All three went into the street together, and from the doorstep Womack turned his way, and Mr. Jiggers and I turned ours. I could not help wishing more than once that evening that Mr. Jiggers had had an aged in Jarrett Street, or a stinger, or something, or somebody, to unbend his brows a little. It was an uncomfortable consideration on a 21st birthday. Suspicious world as he made of it, he was 1,000 times better informed and cleverer than Womack. And yet I would 1,000 times rather have had Womack to dinner. And Mr. Jaggers made not me alone intensely melancholy. Because after he was gone, Herbert said of himself, with his eyes fixed on the fire, that he thought he must have committed a felony and forgotten the details of it. He felt so dejected and guilty. To be continued.